The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fed15 podcast. I am your host, Katelyn Murray, and I'm here with the man in black himself, Mr. Dan Sipe. Dan, do you want to share your wardrobe choices?
100%. You know, if you've been listening or watching for a little bit, you know, I pull out the black when something's on my mind. And we still don't have a resolution as of the time of this recording for the shutdown. That's really going to tick me off, Katelyn. You know, because too easy to avoid. Moderate middle, please come together on this and fund the government. But I will stay in black as long as there is a threat of a shutdown, or God forbid, and by the time people get around to watching this, the shutdown may actually be happening as long as the shutdown is going on, because it is ludicrous, and this is going to be my way of showing solidarity with our feds. So, Gotcha. Well, hopefully we can get you out of that black next week. Hopefully
from your lips to God's ears.
Get things resolved for our feds. If you are just now joining us, wondering what in the heck this crazy podcast is, we cover all of the news and kind of updates out there in the world that are relevant for federal government employees or federal government retirees. We have a lot of listeners who listen to us who have already retired from federal service.
Sure.
But certainly the conversations that we have around the various pieces of federal employee benefits and financial planning for feds is certainly relevant for those folks as well. So, Dan, what you been up to? What you been reading, watching, listening to?
Reading a great book right now. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it sounds like a foodie book, and it kind of is, which is actually kind of a little closet passion of mine. But what it really does is it brings a message of, in my opinion, of humanity, recognizing it, you know, meeting people where they are, you know, appreciating one another, doing things that matter for one another. And just one of the greatest quotes, it's attributed to Danny Meyer, who's the head of the restaurant group that Will Guidara worked for. And Will Guidara is the author. And it's make the charitable assumption. Make the charitable assumption. And Katelyn, as you know, I brought that back to our firm. This may be a drum that I beat for the rest of my life, because as soon as I heard it, it's like, you know, I don't do that. And I should. And I have to keep reminding myself. But I think one of the things that I'm encountering more now across our society in all areas is people making meaning. So, yes, X happened, but it's taken to X happened because this person was thinking this way, feeling this way. You know, this is what's wrong with them, which obviously making a charitable assumption would upend that whole thing. I wasn't necessarily thinking about it this way. I think if we had both sides of the aisle making charitable assumptions, we wouldn't be looking at shutdowns.
You're probably right.
So, great book. I believe anybody will enjoy it. There's terrific lessons for the workplace, but also for the interpersonal relationships, and just some of the super cool things as they were building their restaurant out. It's the story of 11 Madison Park and how it became the number one restaurant in the world. And just some of the things that they did for people that would just go outside of how most people would think. Like when he was managing another restaurant, he learned that people were visiting from another country, and it was a very warm country, and they had never seen snow. And they were having snowfall in New York. So he sent his team out to get inexpensive sleds and then limoed them over to Central Park to go sledding before they left.
Very cool. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that is a an experience that will last multiple lifetimes. Okay. I won't be able to know this, but I would love to hear the story as it's on its fourth iteration down through the family.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it was, they took them to the Swiss Alps, in a plane or something like that. So, yep. Unreasonable hospitality, and make the charitable assumption, please, folks. I think we get a better world out of that. So that's me, Katelyn. How about you?
Wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm behind you. I haven't started the book yet, but I need to read through it, because I definitely think that there's a lot, unreasonable hospitality is definitely something that we strive for with serving those who serve in our client relationships, working with folks and kind of redefining what folks think about financial planning, making it more comprehensive, making it more personalized, customized. And so we're all about that. So I'll have to catch up this weekend.
I know you will.
So today we have a couple of interesting pieces. We've got the next installment of our TSP series, kind of examining options there. And then we also have some updates on federal long-term care insurance, which I don't know that everybody's going to be thrilled to hear, but they are certainly an important piece of news. So Dan, do you want to talk with us a little bit about the TSP?
Yeah, this is Article 3 in the series, based on the Clash song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Mm-hmm. And, we're trying to have fun with it without being too glib or anything like that. So we're on the go section. And for everybody, if you recall, first one was a flyover and a general listing of possible reasons to stay or go, because it's important to have both. And then last go round, we did stay. These are some things somebody might want to consider if they're thinking about go. Want to be really clear. We are not recommending anybody move out of TSP with this article and with this podcast. We are trying to provide information that we believe will help. So let's jump in. With our symmetry, we had 7 for stay. Here's 7 you might want to consider if you're thinking about going. Number 1, TSP is no longer the lowest cost option. And that's really weird for me to say, because I've been doing this close to 40 years. So I came through the period where it's like, not even close. There's nothing close to it. Katelyn, did you know that the TSP internal expenses have increased by 109% since 2017?
For the sake of this podcast, no, I absolutely didn't know, for the sake. But in truth, this is something we actually look at pretty closely, since we work specifically with feds. But yeah, that is a staggering number.
Yep. And I'll touch a little bit about how that takes place. But concurrently, financial services has been compressed on their fees. They've been pushed down, 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 down. So, I'm not plugging anything here, but I will tell you that there are major fund families that have index funds with lower expense ratios than the TSP core funds. And 10 years ago, that would have been insanity for me to say. So that's the first one. Second one, limited investment options. The TSP indexes are broad, but they're not all inclusive. For example, the I fund, we think it's international. It's actually the MSCI EFA index. And per MSCI includes Australia, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Japan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Singapore, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK. So pretty much that band across the developed world. Pause. There's a whole lot of the world left. So I consider that to be a meaningful omission, that there wouldn't be emerging markets available. Additionally, I think not having value indexes available within it is a miss. If go to our website, you'll see a lot of stuff that we've written about the impact of having value in the mix. And, I think having a little more diversification in bonds certainly wouldn't hurt, like a short-term or an intermediate-term bond index. So yes, they're broad indexes, but they are still limited. And as I've touched on before, it's not in the article. The S like Sam fund is really not a true small cap. It's the next 4,500 after the S&P 500. So yes, there's a lot of small in there, but there's some pretty big companies too. This next one is something that we've chronicled quite a bit. And this is not a bash. It's just an observation. And that is that TSP always seems to be behind. Okay. They lag a little bit. And, here we are in 2023 and there's no emerging markets available within TSP. I just mentioned not having a true small cap. But here's some examples of significant lag time. The rule permitting 401k type plans to contain a Roth option went into effect on January 1st, 2006. TSP did not add its Roth option until 2012. I'm all for being careful and deliberate, but 6 years is a long time. That's a long time to have missed out on tax-free growth if you were in an income band that didn't allow you to contribute to a Roth. 6 years. But Katelyn, it's actually not the longest delay that we observed. So would you like to know what that one is?
I would. What is the longest delay?
TSP went live in 1987 with just the G fund. Then in January of 88, they added the C fund. Not a big delay. F fund was added in 1991. Also not too bad. But the S like Sam fund was not added until 2001. Okay. So that's a huge gap going close to 15 years. Okay. Here's what I consider to be a meaningful part of that problem. By many measures, the small cap stock asset class has the highest overall rate of return. Missing 15 years of the highest one, that's a long time. And again, how long before emerging markets and things like that? So just always seems to be a little bit behind. Picking up the pace here, they added the mutual fund window. Yeah, it's okay, but it's opaque. You really can't see in advance what you have available, and you're going to pay additional fees. A $55 annual administration fee, $95 annual maintenance fee, and $28.75 per trade. Okay, then there are other fees attached to the various funds, and we're Fed people from Fed families. We've tried. You can't see what you're going to get until you open it and agree to put money in. I know I can't do business that way. So that's where the opacity of it, I think, is a problem. And you'll be capped at 25% of your total balance. So if it's an improvement, why cap it? So that's the one I point out there. Moving on, withdrawal options are still limited. Yes, it improved dramatically with the modernization. So now, if you space them right, you can take 12 withdrawals in a year. But the example I give is, let's say you're taking money out to do home improvements or a deck or something like that. And you got your budget, so you pull it all out, you pay your taxes, and then the contractor comes back to you and says, hey, if we buy all this stuff right now, we get a huge discount. So you come back and you say, hey, I need another $6,000. The answer is, okay, in 30 days. Well, wait, we need to buy them in the next 10 days. So see the problem. And maybe I've been in the client care business too long, but somebody coming back to me after we've given them a distribution saying, oops, I need some more. Me saying, call me in 30 days. I get the heebie-jeebies just talking out of it. And then last point on that, TSP has a pro rata withdrawal rule. So if you're taking money out, it's going to come out of all the funds in which you are invested. That seems like it's pretty benign, but if it's a time like 2008 and 2009, when all the stock funds are down, ideally you'd want to pull from just GNF, and you can't do that. Now, yes, technically you can try and respond quick and do a rebalance and that type of thing, but that's just super clunky. I just don't consider that to be a plus. Up next, and this may seem like it's piling on, but it's no guidance. TSP is a no-frills, moderately low-cost plan. And so that means there's an implied do-it-yourself factor to it. So if you're a listener, you might be the rare person with the time and the access and the bandwidth to build a sophisticated accumulation and distribution phase. And if you are that person, good for you. hit our website. We will just feed you the information you need. But our experience, huge number of feds spend their day doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that consumes a lot of time pretty quickly. Having the ability to get guidance on things and being able to make better decisions for how you're using money with TSP, I think is a pretty big miss. There are an awful lot of big plans out there that do have that additional option in there where you can talk to somebody. So I realize they're trying to keep costs down, but I think that's a miss. So last one here, customer service can be limited. So to reiterate, TSP is in a tough spot. Their ability to generate revenues are limited and expenses keep rising.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, they're in a tough spot. How do they keep adding people to be able to take care of people? And the password reset still boggles my mind that if you have a password issue, you have to wait for something to come in the mail. I think in this day and age, we could do better than that. Again, not a bash, not telling you to get out, but I think these are important things to bring up for you to consider. If you want to take a deeper dive, hit us up at Serving Those Who Serve. Do we have links? I think we have links somewhere where if you want to do that, we're here to help. So that's me, Katelyn.
Awesome.
How about you?
Yeah, I think the key with this is, our role here is to educate on the TSP. Ultimately, it's your decision.
Yep.
It's your TSP. It's your financial future. So definitely just wanting to kind of get you that information so you can make educated decisions.
Yep.
So the other topic that we want to make sure that we touch on, and I know we're a little pressed for time, but
that's because of me. Sorry.
No. I mean, the TSP, it's a big conversation to have in 15 minutes, right? But I do want to mention that there looks like there will be a premium increase for those who are holding a federal long-term care insurance policy potentially. So policyholders that will be impacted are those that purchased before October 21st, 2019. So this is our federal long-term care insurance program 1.0 and 2.0 policies. Those are the folks who will be impacted. Those who have been in the program longest are the ones who are going to see their premium costs go up. Reason for that is the rising cost of long-term care.
Sure.
I mean, when we run financial plans for clients, I use a 6% rate of inflation for healthcare costs.
Yep.
And that is because, base inflation rates, I use around 3% to be, conservative. The cost of healthcare rises faster than the cost of bread, milk, or eggs. If you're a client with us and you've had a meeting with me and we've looked at a plan, you have heard me say that exact phrase. I say it all the time. And unfortunately, that's the truth. That's just, reality. As such, the federal long-term care insurance program has to stay solvent. It has to be able to deal with those costs. And so what we see is increase in premiums. By the way, this is not something that's unique to the federal long-term care program.
Very true.
This is something that we're seeing in private long-term care policies as well. It's something that's part of the disclosures when you get long-term care insurance, is that there are premium increase kind of clauses that are added in there to allow them to keep up with the effects of inflation. So if you are impacted by this, the action item is you need to choose decreased coverage by November 9th of 2023, or the premium increase for current coverage will go into effect on January 1st of 2024. Of course, you can cancel your policies at any time. I would highly encourage, if you don't have a financial plan in place and you have talked through long-term care in excruciating detail and you have a plan, this is not a reason to rush right out and cancel your policy. This does not mean that your policy is terrible. What it means is the cost of healthcare is rising, and so is the premium on your policy.
Sure.
If you do not have a plan in place and you do not have an advisor that you can go to and talk through these things, please feel free to hit us up. This long-term care is an important part of your plan overall. So you need to kind of have options there. I want to mention some exceptions, just in case, some exceptions to the premium increase. Some contracts are exempt based on the age of the insured at the time the policy was purchased. We don't have a lot of specifics around that. I'm hoping to hopefully have more as this kind of news develops, but some folks may be age exempt based on when they took out their policy. There's no impact, of course, on those who are already collecting long-term care insurance benefits from their federal long-term care insurance plan. Alternate insurance plans are also not affected. So these are the plans that only cover nursing home expenses for up to 2 years. So these
Gotcha.
will not see that same premium increase. And then, of course, the 3.0 or later policies, these would be the policies that are purchased after October 21st, 2019, are also exempt.
Gotcha.
So definitely take a look at that. Want our feds to be aware of that.
I think that's a glimmer of hope, Katelyn.
Yeah.
For
potentially ending the freeze.
That if they're looking at this particular tranche of policies, they think they've got the pricing right. So
hopefully, yeah. I know, long-term care insurance, there's a lot of, or long-term care planning costs. There's a lot of options. Folks can look at self-insuring. Folks can look at private policies. Folks can look at policies through the federal program once that unfreezes. But you definitely need to have a plan for how you may cover unexpected long-term care costs. It's a major part. I was just working on a plan actually yesterday where, that was a major factor that we were looking into for the client. Luckily, she had opted in for federal long-term care insurance coverage, so she's A-okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the time we have today. I went long. It's my fault. But we will be back next week to bring you the latest updates on what you need to make good decisions as an informed Fed for your career and financial well-being.
That we will. And be sure, if you have not already, please subscribe to this podcast on either our YouTube channel or on Spotify. We're also on Spotify as well. Really important to support the show, to kind of get it out there, get it in the hands of more Feds. And also, that way you never miss an episode. So while sharing on social media and everything is important, nothing beats word of mouth. So please remember to tell your friends and your colleagues about this show. It's a lot of information that kind of goes out, help you keep up to date. And the best part is that it's free.
Yep. And for more information on the topics we've covered today, again, there's a full article and more. Be sure to check out our blogs at blog.stwserve.com or just go to stwserve.com and start clicking around. There is a ton of free stuff there. And it's really, really good. I mean, our engagement rates on Google Analytics are great. So people are coming, they're finding what they're looking for. So subscribe to the newsletter, the weekly serving, to get the latest news delivered straight to your inbox every single week.
Yeah. If you're like me and you have a million other things going on, you don't have time to necessarily click all around. Weekly serving is where I would recommend you go. That way it just comes straight to your email. Takes you like 5 minutes to read through it, see what's going on, and know what's up. For those who do have a little time, though, and are interested in digging even deeper into learning about federal benefits and financial planning for Feds, I would encourage you to join us for one of our complimentary webinars. They are no obligation. They are totally free. We have a great tax planning webinar coming up on October 12th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. That is a really great session. Really good tax planning tips there. And then also we've got a session on financial planning for Feds on October 17th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Of course, if you maybe don't have a couple of hours to sink into a webinar, or you kind of know what kind of financial planning help you need, we can always schedule a one-to-one financial planning consultation with our team. You can send us an email to askstws@stwserve.com to set that up.
Yeah, you'll appreciate this, Katelyn. I was meeting with a longstanding client and telling them about all the cool stuff on the website. And I said, so check it out. They go, I got you, Dan.
Yep.
No, for some people, the one-on-one is the best way to go. So we're here for that too. So folks, thank you for listening to Fed15. I'm Dan Sipe.
And I'm Katelyn Murray.
And we will see you next week. Hopefully I'll have a different shirt.
Fingers crossed.